26th Zoning Board of Appeals hearing. My name is Corrine Doherty, and I will be the chairperson for this evening because John Bowner, our chair, could not be here. I will announce or introduce you to the board. To my right is Jeff Sauer. To my immediate right is Ken Scholes, who is our clerk, and to my left is Ken Jarvinian. We have an agenda. If anyone would like a copy, they're located at the front door. I ask anybody who has an electronic device to please silence it. We will begin by the clerk reading the case. And if you're the presenter, please come to the microphone, introduce yourself, and anyone speaking subsequent to that, if they could introduce themselves and either how they're representing the applicant, or if they're a member of the community, please give your name and address. And with that, let's begin the hearing. Mr. Clark.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Our first continued case is 20 Arch Meadow Drive, previous docket 21-4958 from December of 2021. Required the applicant to return to the ZBA prior to the August 1st, 2023 meeting to informally discuss the state and operations of the storage containers that were approved as part of the special permit from 2021.
Good evening. My name is Jason Sevenor. I'm the owner of Salem Plumbing Supply. Thanks for having me tonight. And can I answer any questions?
Well, before, I'm not sure if we'll have any questions, but before that, why don't we go to Mr. Zakelli, who can provide a little summary of what the town found when they came out to your site.
Sure.
So the town conducted a site visit to inspect, and the photographs from that site visit are in your board packet. I can put them up if necessary. That showed the fenced-in storage areas behind the Salem Plumbing and Supply building. That storage area runs parallel to East Coast Road. It's fenced in and screened with black mesh covering the entire fence, and it was very well maintained throughout the whole circumference of the property where we inspected, and we feel that they are completely compliant with the decision previously.
Thank you. I guess I'll go to the board to see if we have any questions. Jeff?
I have no questions, Madam Chair.
Ken?
No questions.
Ken?
No questions.
I don't have any questions either. So, Mr. Zakelli, I guess they are in compliance, and I don't believe that there are any other conditions, so they do not have to come back for another update.
The way it sits, no.
Okay, perfect. I think you're all set. Thank you for all your hard work and for complying with all our requests.
Thank you for the opportunity. I sincerely appreciate it.
Thanks for coming back. Are we ready?
On to the next case.
Our next continued case is 466 Newberry Street. This is zoned Industrial 1. Request a finding in accordance with Section 3.11.b and Section 7, Table 3, Table of Dimensional Requirements to allow the encroachment of a pre-existing non-conforming building's rear property line through the addition of an attached cold storage room where 25 feet is required and 10 feet 6 inches is proposed. Request is made by Costas Apostolopoulos, docket 23-5020.
Good evening. My name is Costas Apostolopoulos. I am the owner of Metroform Design Construction, and I represent the Bracha family, 466 Pub and Grill. They've had faith in our company, and we've done all the renovations for them to this date. We remodeled the entire dining room right after COVID, and now we remodeled their kitchen. They have a state-of-the-art kitchen compared to what they had before. However, there's a little discrepancy with this walk-in. Half of the walk-in, I'd say a third of the walk-in is inside the space, and the remainder of the walk-in protrudes the building by 8 feet. The setback is 25, but the building doesn't comply from previous, correct? And in my previous history doing this kind of work, I believe that the walk-in cooler is not really considered a permanent structure, so the cooler is really sitting on a deck. And do you have any questions? I mean, that's all the information I can provide, or I can answer any other questions that are related to it.
Okay, thank you. Prior to asking questions, I think we should go to the planning department. Mr. Sikeli, could you give us an update from, I guess, the inspector department regarding this, I guess, permit or the request for the certificate of occupancy?
Right, so it was when the CO was going to be cleared off on, they had realized that the cooler was in the setback more than what the building currently allows, even though that it might have, it's more like a decking situation rather than a permanent structure. It's still potentially extending that nonconformity. So he thought it made sense to just, be by the book. And there's nothing that deals with this specifically that says that we couldn't give this relief. So it made sense for relief to be sought after.
Okay, so by he, you mean the building inspector?
Correct.
Okay. Okay, thank you. So why don't we see if we have any questions? Jeff?
I don't think I have any questions. So this cooler is partially inside the existing structure
In
and
the
sticking
kitchen.
out 8 feet?
Yeah, correct.
I have no further questions.
Thank you, Jeff. Ken?
Your nearest abutter is the gas station, right?
Correct.
Yeah, there's no one in between there?
No.
Right. No other questions?
Ken?
I have no questions.
I don't have any questions either. So we would go out to the audience. Any questions or comments from the audience? Okay, hearing none.
Actually, I have one additional question. So on this plot plan I'm looking at, it looks like there's a fence surrounding the property.
Correct.
Is
There's a
that-
trailer park behind behind this particular building.
So whose fence is that? Is that 466's fence, or is that the trailer park fence?
If I had to guess, it's the trailer park's fence.
Because it doesn't match the lot lines at all.
Right, because is the lot line the ones with the dotted
Yeah.
squares?
Yes.
So clearly, the fence is in the property line of the restaurant. So technically, that 25-foot one would be bigger, and
No, that's that 25 is the lot line. The circles with the left, that line is the fence.
correct, that's the trailer park's fence.
Okay.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
that is not the restaurant's fence.
That's the,
Right. Yep.
yeah, okay, thank you. I have no further questions.
Okay, and I don't have any questions either. So why don't we go to deliberations? Jeff?
I would vote for this.
Yeah, I have no problem with this, being the gas station is right behind. There's no impact there.
Ken?
I would vote for this as well.
And I would vote for this as well. I also agree, there's no one who would really be affected by this. And, the permit did issue, and we're kind of dealing with this after it's already been constructed instead of the other way around. So based on that, again, I would vote yes for this.
So Brian, this is a finding because it's pre-existing non-conforming? Madam Chair, I move to issue a finding in accordance with Section 3.11.b and Section 7, Table 3, Table of Dimensional Requirements, to allow an encroachment of a pre-existing non-conforming building's rear property line through the addition of an attached cold storage room where 25 feet is required and 10.6 is proposed. The extension is appropriate in scale and mass for the neighborhood, with particular consideration of abutting properties.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? It passes.
Okay,
Thank
good luck.
you.
Thank you for all your help. Have a good evening. Good luck, everybody.
All right,
case.
moving along. The next case is 24A Commonwealth Ave, Zone Commercial 3. Request a variance in accordance with Section 37.4.f to allow for 5 wall signs, 1 pylon sign, 1 directional sign, and 1 directional electric vehicle totem, where 2 signs are allowed. Request is made by Laurentano Sign Group, Allison Ibbotson, docket 23-5023.
Are you
Good
all
evening.
set?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. So we are proposing more than what is allowed for the sign regulations. We are looking to add 5 wall signs, a pylon sign, the directional sign. There's actually 2 electric vehicle charger stations. One is at the rear of the property. 1 directional sign, and also a vehicle totem and certified pre-owned totem on the property. 2 of the signs, the service sign and the Nissan brand sign, would be facing Endicott Street. And then the other 3 main entrance signs would be facing the Commonwealth Ave. Did you have any questions regarding the signage?
Let's start with you, Ken. Any questions?
What's the total square footage of the signs that you're asking for?
Let's see. Sorry, I didn't have that put together.
Or probably just the wall signs, I would guess.
So the wall signs total 203.84. The tablet sign alone is 110.22 square feet.
That's the middle one?
That's the big,
red-
yeah, the big red
Okay.
sign, yep. Which is their signature brand. And then North Shore is 31.65. And then the service sign is 8.35 on the side, and then each Nissan is 53.62 square feet.
it would- I'm just trying to understand why you feel the need to have 2 Nissan signs. That, I mean, wouldn't one be enough? For the front, I would think, but that's more of a suggestion, I mean, a statement, I guess, and not a question, but what was your thinking about that? Why would you guys think you need 2 Nissan signs on the front?
So having the North Shore, well, I know what you're saying, because the tablet sign in the center is their signature brand, and then the Nissan to the right of that is also just the frontage for the branding. And then they also have the Nissan facing the Endicott Street on the side.
Okay, I have no other questions. Thank you.
Jeff?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I too am puzzled by how many different signs you want that all say Nissan. I can understand the front view, the dealer name, the red logo, and the Nissan, but then why do you need a pylon sign out in front and, you know, all these other signs? I'm at a loss for, well, I'll save my comments for later. I have no questions.
Thank you.
Yeah. Go.
Tom Saloni, I'm the general manager of North Shore Nissan. To give you kind of a feel for this, we don't disagree with some of this. All of these signs are brand compliant. That is a package that Nissan sent to us, and this is their brand image. What we're really looking for is the front and the side of the building. The rest of it, you know, we're not looking to fight about pylons and directional signs. We're really talking about the building for our sake. This big package came right from California. So what we're looking for is, we just spent $1 million renovating this building, and the front is compliant for the way Nissan, the new look, like a Dunkin' Donuts and everything else. On the flip side, on the Endicott side, if you look, that's a lot of exposure for us. You know, we maintain that big field out front that's National Grid property, but we keep it manicured and everything else. So really, that side of the building is almost the frontage for our building, much more than Commonwealth Avenue is. So if anything, so we're really kind of looking for the building signs. If that's the most that we can have out of this, we'll give. You know, because I understand, I'm a local guy. I understand Danvers, and I heard the comment about Route 60 and Revere. I get that. You know, we keep the property beautiful and manicured and vegetation and all of that stuff. But to spend all of that stuff on this building, some of these signs are being, you know, are required, or Nissan would love to see all of this signage. For us, this is really the gist of what we're looking for, is the building signs.
Okay, thank you. Ken?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think I just have one question about the totem sign. So all the totem sign says is zero emission?
No, that's the EV charger.
That's what?
That's the EV charging station.
Right, so that's all it says on that totem?
Yeah. This is the Nissan totem.
Yeah, okay. No further questions. I'll wait for comments.
I don't have any questions at this time. Anyone from the audience have any questions? Mr. Bradstreet?
Bill Bradstreet, Town Meeting Member, Precinct 1, Essex Street. Too many signs. It's a known entity. It can't be seen without all of those signs. Too many signs. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Comments, questions? Okay, back to the board. Ken?
Yeah, I agree. Too many signs. Yeah, I would look at least shaking one of those. I mean, some of maybe the pylon, like a totem style or something, but perhaps the signage on the building is okay. It's not really obstructing anything. It's just on the building, and I guess it's better to visualize from, you know, different sides and stuff. That's fine, but I don't like the totem. I guess the extra seems like just too much. I don't think that's necessary.
Thank you. Jeff?
Some of us who've been on the board a long time remember what that property looked like, and the gigantic billboard that was across the Commonwealth, the right-of-way, the gigantic Cadillac sign or whatever it was, and we were waiting to get rid of that thing. The building looks beautiful. The property is very well maintained. I don't have a problem with the service sign and the Nissan sign on the Endicott side of the building. I don't have a problem with the 3 signs across the front like that. But I don't like the pylon sign out in front and some of the other signs. But, you know, so I won't vote for this the way it is. But I certainly agree with you. The new building looks beautiful. You guys are doing a great job maintaining the property, and I would certainly vote for a package with the 3 signs on the front, the 2 signs on the Endicott side, and we could barter about the rest, but, so I'm a no presently.
Thank you, Jeff. Ken?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm okay with all the signs on the building. I don't care about that. And I will even allow H because it's a directional sign out front. The other 3 signs out front, no good for me. They're a negative on that. So as proposed, I'm a no. If you eliminate F, A, and G, I'm okay.
I would agree with that.
I agree with everybody on the board, but I also agree with the recommendations that Ken made regarding the signs to be eliminated. And I also want to kind of commend you. I think the new building looks beautiful. I think all the renovations came out great. I think the signs on the building are classy. They would look very nice. And I agree that I think some of the other signs are just add-ons. You don't need them.
I just wanted to make one point. Sign F is the EV charging totem, so I would say that I think you just mean A and G, sign A and G and not sign F, just
Sign
want to
F
make
doesn't-
that clear.
Sign F doesn't
F
convey
is
any
out.
information.
F is out front.
So, yeah. So
F is the zero emissions.
it's not actually the charging.
Well, it is, but I think someone just mentioned that that's all it says.
That's all it says. It has no brand to Nissan.
Has no information.
I mean, if it were a sign that said, like, charging station here, Nissan or whatever, but it just says zero emissions.
Maybe the applicant can talk to that, but I would imagine that there would need to be some information to show where the station is.
Yes, I agree. I don't know who would be best to answer this.
I'm looking at it now, and I don't see that it actually is a vehicle charging station itself. I think it's just stating that this is the zero emissions, and it has the capabilities on the property to do so.
That's how I took it.
Yeah, so we don't
My
need
mistake.
that sign then. That could certainly be eliminated.
Yeah.
My mistake.
And if that changes, I can make that more clear in my resubmittal package.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so right now you don't have the votes. I don't know if you want to redesign the package and come back to us at our next meeting. How would you like to proceed?
So can we move forward with the wall signs as approvals now and then come back for any other signage that they would like to try and get approved for?
We could give you approval for the ones that we do approve, and then if you want to, I guess, come back for additional signs, you could do that. But we're only going to give you approval tonight for the signs that are on the building.
Okay, and what about the small directional sign,
Yeah, that one's okay.
Yeah,
H.
that one's okay too, H.
H?
It's just, so I
Just
just,
because it's directional.
I think it might be easier and cleaner is if there's a vote to, for this site plan, but without A and G, and then, or sorry, F, A, and G.
F, A, and G, yeah.
And then that's it. They don't
Right.
need to come back, they don't need to come back with a revised site plan. It just has to be compliant with that condition based on those 3 locations.
Okay, but I thought she was saying they were going to.
It's up to them, it's up to them if they really want to
Right.
go back to corporate and say that they really need, like, that's their thing, but
Right.
we could do it that way.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
We
Well,
could,
and H, it's just
H.
these other 3 signs that are not being approved
That are
and
out
may never get approved.
Right.
I think that's a good plan, to eliminate F, A, and G, and then if we want to come forward with another revised package for those 3 signs, we can do that.
okay, that's fine. Okay,
Madam Chair, I move to issue a variance in accordance with Section 37.4F to allow for 5 new wall signs as shown in the site plan on page 3, and not to approve signs A, F, and G of that plan. This condition does not affect other properties or structures in the same zoning district. A literal enforcement of the zoning bylaw would involve substantial hardship to the applicant, and granting this variance will not create a substantial detriment to the public good and will not nullify or derogate from the intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw.
I'll second.
Brian, are you happy with that?
I just have one question, though. So we approved the 5 wall signs. Shouldn't we include the one directional sign, too?
Sure. The 5 wall signs plus the one directional sign labeled H in the site plan.
Okay, perfect.
And I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
All against? Okay, so you have the signs that you want.
Yep.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
You
You too.
Well, good night.
Ready?
I am all set.
Our next case is 106 Sylvan Street, also zoned Commercial 3. Request for a variance in accordance with Section 7, Table 3, to allow for 3 new electrical vehicle EV chargers and associated equipment to be located within the required 25 feet setback. Request was made by Danvers Motor Company, doing business as Danvers Ford. Docket 23-5024.
Good evening. My name is David McBride. I'm an attorney with an office here in Danvers at 19 Cherry Street. Tonight I'm here representing Danvers Motor Company, doing business as Danvers Ford. With me this evening is Kevin Guiney from Danvers Ford and also Adam Palmer from JM Electrical. Our request here is for a variance to allow us to install 3 EV chargers at the premises at 106 Sylvan Street, as well as a transformer and an electrical panel. All of them would be within or violative of the 25-foot side yard setback on the property on the northern boundary, which abuts the police station. Our plan shows that, and the plan's detail shows how far off each of these structures would be from the lot line. We submit that these EV chargers and the allowance of this request would be a welcome addition and a modernization of our facility. It will ultimately allow our customers, our employees, and the public at large to use these EV chargers. Ford has determined that its dealers must put these EV chargers in if they want to sell electric vehicles, and as we all know, that's the way the trend is moving. We believe that a literal enforcement of the bylaw here would be a substantial hardship to Danvers Ford. We also believe that this relief can be granted without any detriment to the public good and without denigrating the intent of the bylaw. The area where this is requested is the northerly boundary of the property. As I said, it abuts the police station. There are no residences anywhere in the area, and the police station building itself is up gradient of the property, our property, and at least 40 feet from the site where this is. So it is a very safe area. It would not block anybody or obstruct any view of anybody. The problem with putting it anywhere else is multiple. First, the power that we need to establish and to power these devices is necessary to come from the high voltage lines which run along the boundary between our property and the police station. And it's strongly recommended in the EV world that these kind of devices be at the perimeter of any commercial property for safety purposes. It also would eliminate the blocking, the likely blocking by other vehicles and by customers inadvertently blocking the stations. It would also be a very substantial expense to put it anywhere else. If we put it directly behind the rental or the service bay, it would be an expense of six figures to do that based on the quotes that we've received, to bring that kind of substantial power in. We think that this area is an ideal spot for it. It's not something that's very visible from the street. It'll be a pleasant view, but it won't be an eyesore. There's no residences in the area. And as I said, it will help us move into the modern age of electric vehicles. So that's our petition.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jeff, any questions?
The only question I really have is, has anybody from the fire department looked at this plan? Electric vehicles do catch fire, and when they catch fire, they're impossible to put out. And it looks like you're just getting kind of close to the corner of your building, that's all.
Adam, can you address that?
Adam Palmer with JM Electrical. We have not fully reviewed it with the fire department in terms of this, but the chargers themselves will be a decently ways back. All of the cars will be physically way over here. It's a decent amount from the building.
Okay. I have no further questions.
Ken?
I don't know, I guess I don't have any questions. So somebody just off the street can pull up to these and plug in?
Yes, that's something that Ford requires, that we allow any citizen to use it.
Interesting.
I mean, not that we would object to it, but it is something that would be allowed, yes.
Okay, no other questions.
Ken?
So I guess I'm a little naive to the hookups for this. So is it like a universal plug that can go into any car? I mean, is it all standardized?
There's four. These are high-speed chargers. These will come with what's called a CCS plug, but they will be changing over. I don't know if you've been following the news the past few weeks. Tesla's opening their whole protocol and things like that. So in the future, these will change, but as proposed, it's a standard CCS plug, which works on most electric vehicles in America.
Okay, so then most people would be able to use that, citizens and stuff around, not just Ford and...
Everybody but Tesla as proposed, and then in a year or so, it would be Teslas as well.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and there'd be 6 of those, and then they can change it. They're interchangeable.
Sounds good, thanks.
Mr. McBride, did anyone on behalf of Danvers Ford contact anyone at the police station just to confirm whether they were okay with these charging stations being so close to the police property?
Adam, can you address that?
I have had some informal discussions with them, and they are actually looking into the potential of getting electric cars. Again, this was informal discussions, but it was a welcome thing, like, oh, we could bring our cars over there and charge them. One of the issues with police adopting EV cars is that, they have to always be full. And these would charge a car in about 30 minutes, where a typical level 2 station, which you would see on buildings or at homes, would take 12 to 14 hours. So these would be, I think, a welcome addition to that as police look to extend their fleet.
Okay, all right, so I take it that they're on board and they don't have any issues?
They haven't advised us of any problem with it.
Okay, okay.
Brian, they've been informed as abutters anyway, right?
If there are abutters to abutters within 300 feet, they have been.
Yes, they're direct abutters, and they were on the list.
Yeah,
Okay.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Zakelli, one other question. If we grant them approval tonight, do they have to go for, I don't know, like site plan approval? Do they need any other approvals for this? Do they need to go to the fire department?
It's probably just a street opening permit, is my guess, and then with the electrical division is something like.
We have met with the building department and the planning department and the electrical inspector, and we aren't opening any streets or anything like that. It's just in the grass, and it's local to the telephone pole that's right there. So we've met with Danvers Electric, the building department and that, and this town specifically requires a building department, and building permit with a full review with a construction supervisor's license, which is atypical, but we've met with them and they've reviewed this fully as well.
Okay.
But we had to do this first.
Okay, so you have to go through the whole building permit process in
Next.
this town in order to be able to do it. So if there was some sort of a requirement for like a fire department review, that would be handled during the building permit process?
Absolutely.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Any comments or questions from the audience? Mr. Bradstreet?
Again, Bill Bradstreet, Town Meeting Member, Precinct 1, Essex Street. I'm not a member of the board. The business is well-known, appreciated, a benefit to the town. This addition would also be a benefit to the town. I'm not a member of the board. If I were, I would be voting for it.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Okay, back to the board.
I only have one other question, which is, how soon before you can actually get your hands on an F-150 electric?
Today, I got one in the parking lot.
Really?
Yeah, we'll do a tour.
I hear they're selling really well.
Okay.
I would vote for this, Madam Chairman.
Ken?
Yeah, I would vote for this. I think it's a good location. Obviously, it's the way of the future, so I'll vote for it.
I would also vote for this.
And I would also vote for this. I agree. I think it's probably on the only spot on your property that you could locate it. And since it has to go through all the reviews in town, I think if there are any issues, it will be handled at that level. So I am also a yes on this. So,
Madam Chairman, I make a motion to issue a variance in accordance with Section 7, Table 3, to allow for 3 new electric vehicle charging stations and associated equipment to be located within the required 25-foot setback. This condition does not affect other properties or structures in the same zoning district. A literal enforcement of the zoning bylaw would involve substantial hardship to the applicant, and granting this variance will not create a substantial detriment to the public good and will not nullify or derogate from the intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw.
I will second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? It passes. Good luck.
Good luck.
Our next case is 15 Purchase Street, zoned R1. Request for a variance in accordance with Section 40, definitions to allow the construction of a new 1,716-square-foot garage where only a 1,200-square-foot structure is allowed by right. Request is made by Eduardo Pereira, docket 23-5025.
Hi, my name is Eduardo Pereira, and I'm looking to build a garage in my yard. Like it's a bigger garage than what they expect me to, what they want that I can build. And I also have Mike that helped me build the garage, design the garage, sorry. If he can come up to help me out through this.
Hello, my name is Mike Litrakowski. I'm a friend of Eddie's, and I assisted him in doing the design drawings, which you have before you. He's also asked me to come help out during this portion. He's a little bit nervous tonight, so he asked if I'd come by, and I'm going to help represent and answer any questions you may have on this. I know that the 30 by 40 garage is what is allowed in the town of Danvers, and 1,200 square feet. Eddie's trying to create, it calls it as a 50 by 40, but at 31 feet of that pushes back to 31 feet. We wanted to give it some type of design element. The reason that he has the taller garage bay that you see is for his boat. He's spoken to the neighbors in the past, and he's going to try to take it out of, I guess, eyesight. And so he looked at, with the 14-foot door, he would put his, he would store his boat. The 2 gables that are on the front of the building are put in there for design element. He spoke to his neighbors, and he does have 2 letters from his neighbor that is directly across the street. And if you're looking at his house, then the neighbor just to the left. To the right of his property is the railroad track, as well as Walgreens. He did not speak to them, but he did speak to the 2 neighbors, residential neighbors on each side. If you have any questions, we can both try to answer them for you.
Okay. Ken, let's start with you.
Okay. So is there a second story to that? And what would you be using it for?
There is a second story on there, and Eddie's house is about 100-plus years old and has very little storage. So he was looking also to use that upper level would be storage. It would not be for commercial. It would not be for business use. He did speak to both of his neighbors about that it will not. If there needs to be a stipulation in, which there should be in the, if he does pass, that it would not be used for business or commercial use. He is willing to do that. You will notice that there is a restroom on the first floor. Eddie does fishing
I do a lot of fishing, commercial fishing and stuff.
and lobstering, so when he comes home, he likes to try to wash up outside the house versus bringing that in.
So then you have power going up to the second floor as well?
There would be lights,
Yeah.
there would be lights and probably a few receptacles as required by code, but it wouldn't be anything set in an office setup or anything like that.
So is all the square footage including the second floor as well?
I believe that the square footage that is noted is footprint square footage.
Yeah, so what is the total square footage of both floors?
It should show on the floor, two floor plans. Let me see if it's on my notes here. I do not have them on the notes that I have, but it should be noted on the garage floor plan as well as that loft level.
So basically, you would just double it from the bottom,
50.
and the top should be the same.
It shrinks down actually because we have the gables that cut down on head height. So I'm just going to guess, you're probably talking about 8 to 10 feet in, you don't have full head height, so that would really be reduced in the square foot calculations.
Okay, I have no other questions, but I'd like to get the square footage number.
1876 square feet.
Thank
The
you.
second floor.
That's the total?
Same as the
with
total,
everything?
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't find
okay.
I couldn't find the total number either. So there's, and for the proposed garage square footage, you can see in the middle, or maybe you can't, that says 1876, but it's just talking, that just says total garage footprint square footage.
Yeah, and that's not the top floor.
Right, so I could not find the floor plan for the second floor storage area.
Because if you had the 50 by the 40 minus some change, that's probably the 1876.
Yeah.
And then you're not adding in the second floor.
It's a pretty big garage.
So, if I can just interject, so it says on the written part of the application that it's 1716 is the square footage, but if you look at the plans, it says 1876, but it doesn't delineate if is there additional space on the second floor, or is that what takes you to the difference between 1876 and 1716?
Could I approach just to look at the drawings?
Sure.
Thank you.
Well, 1876 is the footprint of the first floor,
No, I know, so.
and the second floor is the same size, but
floor is
when you
17.
count it, you come in from the eaves
Okay,
Oh, yeah,
to
go
get a
right ahead.
5-foot headroom, so
The second
it's gonna be less, but it's still gonna be pretty big.
right,
Maybe it's 17.
right,
whatever
but
that
I'm saying, if you look at the written application, it says 1716,
Okay, is it top?
and this says 1876.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely a discrepancy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, all right, it's right there. So then we have about, 3,000.
That is correct. On sheet A2, it does show the loft area square footage, and that square footage is 1,200.
It says, 1,213.
Thank you.
Okay, I have no other questions.
Thank you.
Ken?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Have you talked to the Vonsa leads in the back? Is
No,
that
I
their
did
name?
not. No,
You
I
have-
did not. I talked to the neighbor.
They got notice, correct, of this?
Yeah, certainly all direct abutters got
Yeah.
notice, definitely.
Okay. And obviously, we hadn't heard anything from them, so. Now, you said you do commercial lobstering and stuff?
No, I do recreational lobstering, but commercial fishing.
Okay, so are we gonna have all kinds of lobster traps piled up outside around the
No.
garage and
Nope,
all
nope,
that?
nope.
In the off-season?
Nope, nope.
No, okay.
I have some outside now because I don't have the space. They'd be, it's recreation, it's only gonna have 10 pots, so they'll be inside the garage.
Okay. You take that as a condition?
Yes,
Okay. The garage you have now is just a one-car garage, right?
2-car garage,
It's a two-car?
yeah.
Okay. Okay. I have no further questions. Thanks.
In these plans, I've gone through the plans, but I don't see a drawing, unless I missed it when I was looking, for the loft. Is it just gonna be an open loft? Or is it gonna kind of be like a closed-in room? Because you have
You-
stairs going up to it.
If you look on drawing A2, should be the second sheet.
Okay. All right, so it's going to be, I mean, I saw that, but I meant like a more detailed. So it's just gonna be an open loft upstairs.
Correct.
Okay. I don't have any other questions. Out to the audience, any questions or comments? Okay, back to the board for deliberations. Ken?
Oh, again, what was the total height of the structure? I didn't,
It's on, I believe, sheet A3. I want to say it's under 30, it's under the maximum required.
29 and almost half. To the top of the ridge, so full height is still under 30 feet.
okay. Yeah, I guess it's within the height requirement, and the abutters haven't really, it didn't say, they said they liked it, right? And it-
If you, why don't you bring those up?
Do you want me to read this?
Yes, actually, read.
So this is dated June 26, 2023. To whom it may concern, I, Mark Ecalini, sorry, I butchered that name. Yeah, Ocellini, of 19 Purchase Street, Danvers, Mass, are in favor of Eduardo Perry, building a garage at 15 Purchase Street, Danvers, Mass. So that's someone that likes it, is, approves of it. To whom it may concern, this is also dated June 26, 2023. To whom it may concern, I, Luz Riva, of 14 Purchase Street, Danvers, Mass, are in favor of Eduardo Perea garage, building a garage at 15 Purchase Street. So,
Thank you.
yep, you're welcome.
Ken?
I'm a little torn on this. I mean, I like the fact that you're gonna put your boat in the garage. Who wouldn't, as a neighbor, not having to see a boat in the yard? But, I don't know, I think this is a little bit too big for me, I don't know. Can you come back to me?
Yes.
Thank you.
Jeff?
Yeah, I think it's really big. It's as big as a house. It's bigger than a house. It's bigger than his house. But the neighbors were notified, and some of them are in agreement that they don't mind this thing. So I guess I'm a yes, a hesitant yes.
Thank you. I am a no. I think it's too big. I think you can certainly design something that's a little bit smaller. I'm not 100% on board with that second floor and the bathroom downstairs. It just lends itself to other things that maybe you don't intend, but once we allow it, the future owner of the property could, I don't know, try and have a tenant live there. Again, I just think it's too big. So, you do not have the votes right now. If we vote and it's a no, you won't be able to come back for 2 years. But if we continue to our next meeting or to a meeting in the future, you could go back and maybe redesign this, come back with a little smaller plan. I think we're all on board. We like the idea of getting the boat in the garage. We just think that this particular design is too big. So, would you like to continue?
Yes.
Okay. And do you, if it's not July 10th, what is the next meeting after that?
Yeah, so we only meet once in July, this July, I mean, it's July 24th.
Oh, I'm sorry, July 24th.
Yep.
So would you like to continue to July 24th?
Yes,
Okay.
please.
If you need more time, you can contact Brian a couple of weeks ahead of time, and
Brian, when would we need to have the revised drawings in for the next meeting?
Thursday prior, right?
the Thursday prior.
Okay.
Okay.
And if you can't do it, just call Brian's office and okay.
Right, and continue it to like the next meeting if you find that the plan's not done by that time.
Yeah, we'll have them ready for that meeting.
Okay, okay.
Madam Chair, I propose that we continue this case until our meeting of July 24th.
Mr. Pereira had one question. On the suggestion of making it smaller, are we looking at maybe footprint, strictly height? I think Mr. Pereira would be definitely amenable to losing that second floor and having it just kind of realistic attic area. You know, there would be a scuttle or some type of access up there, you know, as normal access storage would be. I think the footprint might be a little tight to shrink. Is there any thought on that you might be able to kind of convey to us?
For me, my biggest concern was that second floor.
Okay.
So if you were to remove that and just have, I don't know, maybe some sort of, limited storage, like a crawl space, I would be fine with that. I don't know, any other comments from the
It's
board?
still
I'm with
big.
you on that.
It's
Yeah.
still very big.
And for the record, I was a no on that. I was
Okay.
going to vote no.
Not
We-
do
we-
without that
we-
second. What if we?
Yeah,
I'm with you on that,
we'll revise the drawings,
Okay.
I know what they're looking for, and I thank you for your direction.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so can, Jeff, a motion?
Yes, I move that we continue this case until our meeting of July 24th.
And I will second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you in July.
All right, thank you.
And last case of the evening is 107 Andover Street. This is 114A zoning district. Request for a variance in accordance with section 37.4E 1-4 of the Danvers Zoning Bylaw to allow for a second freestanding sign on a single parcel that will measure 30 feet in height, 12.1 feet setback from the property line, and with the sign area of 85.1 square feet. Additionally, applicant is requesting a finding under section 3.11B and 37.2A2 of the Danvers zoning bylaw to allow an extension, alteration, or change to a pre-existing non-conforming building through the replacement of existing building-mounted freestanding signs, an interior building renovation, the installation of electric vehicle charging stations, and the replacement of existing sidewalk and landscaping, and the installation of an accessory outdoor display unit within the front yard setback. Request is made by Jesse Schomer, docket 23-5026.
Thank you, Madam Chair. For the record, Attorney Jesse Schumer of the law firm of Rignanti Stereo, our offices in Wakefield. I represent Herb Chambers of Danvers, LLC, the owner and operator of Herb Chambers Chrysler, Dodge, Ram, Jeep, and Fiat. If it pleases the board, I'd like to make a brief presentation and introduce my team. We have representing ownership, John Welsh, the Director of Construction and Facilities for the Herb Chamber Companies, David Newhall of the Crocker Design Group, civil engineers of record for this project, and Lee Hemingway, Senior Project Manager with Regent Associates Incorporated, architects for this project. If I may, Madam Chair, just a brief correction of the record with respect to the size of the sign that we're requesting permission for. At the time the application was filed, we were not entirely certain what the size of the requested sign would be based on the site. The actual sign that we're proposing to build is significantly smaller than the one that that Mr. Shekels mentioned in his recitation of the requested relief. The proposed sign is now 20 feet tall, and the square footage of the requested sign is 48.9 square feet, so significantly smaller than what was recited. But just, if I may, just to back up and give a brief overview of the proposed project, this is the, as I mentioned, the Herb Chambers, Chrysler, Dodge, Ram, and Jeep station. Brian, I wonder if you could put up the site section plan that you just had up just a moment ago.
Just a second.
Sure, thank you. That's perfect, thanks. I wonder if you could also just zoom in on the top one here. So the proposed work falls into two categories primarily. The first being the proposed renovation of the building, the dealership building here, and the second, I'll address second, being the signage and display features at the front of the site near Andover Street. The proposed building, as you see here, on the right side of the building, this probably looks somewhat more familiar to you than the proposed design here. This is essentially what the building looks like now. There's a central tower element that's roughly here, outlined in dashes here. As you can see, the proposed tower is now being moved to the right side of the building, which will now have the signage for Chrysler, Dodge, Ram, and Fiat. This Herb Chamber signage here. And the entire left side of the dealership there is proposed to be dedicated to the Jeep side of the dealership. As you can see from the dash lines here, the proposed tower is significantly shorter than what's existing on the site today. That's 4 feet shorter than the existing tower. The Herb Chamber signage is proposed to be 6 inches taller here. It's existing 2 feet. This is proposed to be 30 inches. These signs here, 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 and here are all proposed to be smaller than existing on this dealership. The proposed facade upgrades will also include new landscaping, a new sidewalk upgrade, as well as EV charging stations approximately in this location here. I think that's shown on the plan there. And around on the other side of the building, approximately in this location here, and a building-mounted charging station approximately there. In order to accommodate the proposed EV charging stations, the dealership is also proposing to upgrade their electrical service with a new electrical transformer on the left side of the building, which we can show if we go to the site plan. And perhaps now is an appropriate time to go to that.
Sorry, there's a little delay here.
No worries. While we're waiting for that, if any of the members have questions for myself or members of the team with respect to the details or anything I've gone over already, please feel free. Going to the, thank you, Brian. Going to the site plan here, I'll just point out the proposed transformer while we're talking about that proposed over here in this area. There's a new trench that'll be dug to the building to provide the upgraded electrical service for the charging stations here, here, and here. The remainder of the work has to do with these locations here and here. These are proposed, this is a new proposed sign on 114, and this is a proposed outdoor display element. The existing pylon sign.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but could you speak into the mic because the recording device does not pick you up.
Oh, I'm
unless you're-
sorry.
Unless you're in the microphone.
Sure,
Thank you.
sure. Oh, now we're cooking with gas. Thank you. So the proposed development here on 114, this is a outdoor display. It's known as a Jeep Mountain, and we have provided a cut sheet of what that looks like. It's a faux stone display feature that a Jeep, a vehicle, usually a Wrangler, is driven right up on side. I think you've seen one of those probably on Route 1 if you drive north. The Jeep dealership there has one of those already. This is a proposed totem sign. This is proposed to be dedicated just to Jeep signage. As I mentioned before, it's 20 feet tall as proposed. The existing pylon sign for the site is located here. This currently has Chrysler, Dodge, Ram, and Jeep signage on it in its existing condition. If the proposed pylon sign is approved by the board, the project would remove the Jeep signage from this sign here. So I believe that probably covers it, Madam Chair. Perhaps I'll hand it over to the board if you have any questions for me or members of the team. But the request for relief tonight is threefold, as I outlined in my application for zoning relief. Finding for the proposed work on the building and the EV charging stations, which are extensions of the building. The reason for that request is because the existing building is a pre-existing non-conforming building. The applicable zoning front yard setback is 100 feet. This building is approximately 84 feet, and it's proposed to be approximately 6 inches closer to the street based on the new facade work, and that will entail the facade moving slightly closer to the street. The second request for relief is a finding with respect to the existing signage to modify that non-conforming signage, as well as the variance for the second freestanding sign that we're proposing, the Jeep totem on 114. The zoning bylaw in this district does allow 2 freestanding signs on properties that front on 2 streets, which this parcel does, but we're requesting both signs to face the same street, so a variance for that is needed, and that's what we're requesting tonight.
Thank you. Jeff, any questions?
Yes. The Jeep pile of rocks, obviously that is not adhering to any kind of setbacks. Brian, is that a structure? I believe it is in the Danvers zoning bylaw.
It is freely removable, not affixed to the ground, but or I believe it is.
No,
it
it's a big
actually
pile of rocks.
Oh, well, I don't think it's actually a pile of rocks, but that's a different case. Is it drilled into the ground?
No, so the Jeep Mountain, it sits on a pad. It'll have a concrete pad that's poured under it. But it's really, it's modifiable. It can be literally boulders, as it is on the Jeep dealership on Route 1 down in Linfield. It can be, more of a structure with a Jeep emblem on it. That's what's shown here.
Yeah, my point is, do we need a variance for that?
No,
Because it's,
our office considered this outdoor display.
I mean, if it were a stone wall, they'd need a variance, right?
That's what that's what they're
Okay.
requesting. They're requesting to do outdoor, this is out, yeah.
I mean, I don't have a
We feel
problem
that
with
this
it.
is
It's
outdoor
just that,
display.
It has 0 setback. And I don't, well, that's a comment, I won't say that. And I seem to remember the last time that this dealership was here for signage, they were trying to make the argument that the Jeep, the Hyundai, the whatever, the Dodge, the Chrysler were all independent companies. And we rejected that argument as not a valid reason for having 5 or 6 different signs on the front of the building.
And I think in the decision, they all were approved, but a totem was not. But the
Yes.
other signs were approved.
Okay.
There was just one totem that was not approved.
Yeah, okay. I have no further questions.
Ken?
Thank you. Yeah, my only question was about that existing totem that's there now. So if we approve this other one for, specifically for Jeep, this one will be removed.
So the existing pylon will remain, but the Jeep signage will be removed from it. So if you're driving down Andover Street, you'll see the 4 brands on the sign.
Oh, you're just taking the word Jeep off it.
The Jeep panel will be removed.
You're
from
not
that sign.
getting rid of the totem.
No, that sign is proposed to remain.
Okay. No further questions.
Ken?
So if you're extending the building, you're gonna lose space for new vehicles to be placed?
No, so the existing front yard, it's the drive aisle is, and David can give me the exact number, but I believe it's over 26 feet, so it's a fairly wide drive aisle. So it'll be narrower, but we won't lose any parking out in that area. The same parking will be replaced, and the proposed condition will just be shifted forward a few feet.
Okay, so what are you losing by gaining more building space?
So, if I could speak on it, this is David Newhall with Crocker Design Group, engineer for the project. So the front setback is being reduced by the 6 inches or so. Just there's no space being gained in the building itself. It's just with the reconfiguring and the remodel of the building, there's just a new door for access for that side of the building where the new Herb Chambers signage will be at the top of that door. So the way the building facade works, there's a little bump out of about 6 inches that goes off of the front existing facade line that moves towards the property line. So it's just getting it so the doors can then be installed and keep with the existing look of the building for the existing dealership now, and stay in line with kind of the manufacturer guidelines for how that front facade looks. So it's not to add any space in the building. It's just a reconfiguring of the doors and the remodel of the building.
Oh, okay, yeah, I have no other questions.
I have a couple questions dealing with the signs that are in the front. So the totem sign, you're just taking off the name Jeep. The rest of the sign will remain the same?
That's right. So that's the sign that we're calling the pylon sign.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Just want to make sure we're talking about the same sign. So that's the existing sign. Just the Jeep panel will be removed. The second sign that we're proposing, that we're requesting the variance for, is we're calling the totem sign. It's the freestanding with the Jeep at the top, just the one panel and no other signage on that.
Okay, and for the new sign, how close is that going to be to the street? I mean, I see the plans, but can you tell me how far it's going to be from the street, and approximately how far it is from the other sign? And again, I see the plans, it's very small, and I don't have a magnifying glass, so could you just give me a brief summary?
Sure. It's the proposed new sign is 12.4 feet from the street. In terms of the distance from the existing sign, I wonder if that's something David could come up with on the fly. I'm looking at the site plan. There's 7 9-foot parking spaces between those signs and some additional green space there. So if I had to estimate, I'd say probably 70 feet.
The existing sign and the proposed sign, there's about 72 feet, give or take, maybe between 72 and 73 feet between the two signs.
Okay.
The proposed sign is 12.4 feet off that front property line, off the back of the curb line of the traveled way is about 24 to 25 feet off of that back of curb of Andover Street.
Okay. And are both the existing sign and the new sign, are they both approximately the same distance to 114?
I believe the existing sign is just the foundation itself is just a little bit closer by probably 2 or 3 feet to Route 114 than the proposed sign, but the signs themselves are pretty much in line with each other and similar distance and setback from the street.
Okay, because I'm always concerned about how close these signs are to the roadway. As you know, Route 114 is a very dangerous road. So I do not like when the signs are too close because of for obvious reasons.
Right. That's actually the reason, in fact, why we're not proposing it to be facing the secondary street, because there's actually a sign right there. We don't want to have multiple signs competing as people are trying to turn right out of there.
Okay, and is there any reason why, or what is your reason why you need the two signs? Why can't the Jeep sign just be on the other existing sign? Why can't it stay there? Why do you need that second sign?
So similar to what you heard earlier with the gentleman from the Nissan dealership, this is a package of a signage package that comes from Stellaris Corporate. So this is the package that they require all dealerships to request permission for from the local zoning authorities, here being yourselves. So can it be done? It certainly could be done. We're required by corporate to request the secondary sign. So the proposal here is to, not to duplicate signs, which you saw on some of the other projects, the Nissan specifically, where you have multiple signs that say Nissan. We have one sign that says the Chrysler, Ram, and Dodge, and then a second sign that just says Jeep.
Okay, so is this Jeep exhibit on the rocks, is that part of the same package that they're using to promote, like, the Jeep brand?
That's exactly right.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from the audience? Mr. Bradstreet?
Lone survivor.
Again, Bill Bradstreet, Town Meeting Member, Precinct 1, Essex Street. My recollection is that in the past, Danvers is not happy with all of the signage for the auto dealerships on 114. Having said that, too many signs, and whether it falls under the definition of a sign, but a mound of rocks with a Jeep on it, easily recognized as a Jeep, to me, and I'm not a genius, that's a sign. Again, too many signs. I think everybody knows what the dealership is, what they sell. They don't need all of what is being asked for. Again, some wording in some of the rules is very ambiguous. My ambiguity is that a Jeep on a pile of rocks is a sign.
Thank you. Okay, back to the board for deliberation. Did I start with you, Jeff? Jeff?
You can. Thank you, Madam Chair. I think the new dealership looks great. I like the new design. I have no problem with any of the building signs, anything falling under the finding. The location of the new transformer, the location of the new charging stations, everything looks fine to me. I will not vote for the variance part of this application. I would just do not want another sign out in front of this building.
Thank you, Jeff. Ken?
Thank you. Yeah, I think having the Jeep brand on the pylon sign is enough. I don't think we need the totem sign for a Jeep. So I'm in favor of everything else except for that new totem sign.
Thank you, Ken. Ken?
I agree with Ken and Jeff. I don't like the extra totem sign. It's on the building. You already have many, excuse me, you have the Jeep sign on the pylon, and then you have it listed on the building, and then you're gonna have the Jeep with the, on the rocks, the fake rocks, so I think that's sufficient.
And thanks, Ken. And I agree with my fellow board members. I do not like that second totem sign. I think it's redundant, too many signs, And I also think, for me, it's also the safety concern of having another sign that's right abutting 114. So I'm a no for that portion. For the rest of the project, I'm fine. So I don't know if you want us to vote and not include the variance for that totem sign?
So under.
How would you like to proceed?
We would like to request a vote, perhaps separately, for the portion of the project that the board members will approve, and then a separate vote for the portion that the board members would not like to approve. And the reason why I'm requesting that is because that's actually a corporate requirement of Stellaris, is that we're required to ask for it and be turned down. So
Okay,
so
that's fine.
respecting the board's wishes on that, we would respect you take the vote on that.
Okay, thank you.
So, Madam Chair, I will make the motion for the variance. I'd like to make a motion to issue the variance in accordance with Section 37.4E, 1 to 4 of the Danvers Zoning Bylaw to allow for a second freestanding sign on a single parcel that will measure 30 feet in height, 12.1 feet setback from the front property line, and with a sign area of 85.1 square feet. This condition does not affect other properties or structures in the same zoning district. A literal enforcement of the zoning bylaw would involve substantial hardship to the applicant, and granting this variance will not create a substantial detriment to the public good and will not nullify or derogate from the intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw.
Second.
All in favor? All against?
No.
Aye. So that one does not pass.
Madam Chair, I further motion to issue a finding under Section 3.11B and 37.2A and 2 of the Danvers zoning bylaw to allow an extension, alteration, or change to a pre-existing non-conforming building through the replacement of existing building-mounted and freestanding signs, an interior building renovation, the installation of electric vehicle charging stations, the replacement of the existing sidewalk and landscaping, and the installation of an accessory outdoor display unit within the front yard setback. Proposed condition is not more detrimental to the abutters or the zoning district at large than the existing conditions on the site.
I will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone against? So that one passes.
Thank you.
Okay.
Good luck.
Thank
Good
you for
luck.
your time.
Do we have any minutes?
Thank you,
to
everyone.
write?
very much.
I don't think we do.
There will be 3 minutes to approve the next time. We were going to do it all in this time, but I'm surprised we got through all of this in under 90 minutes. I was expecting that it would take much longer, so
All right,
I
thank
pulled
you.
them.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we
Adjourn the meeting?
adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Good night, Danvers.
Night, Danvers.
Thank you.